The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. And this was set by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
What's up, everybody? My name is Jared Shamat. I'm senior at the University of Albany. I have last year, I'm from the Bronx, New York. Is anyone here from the Bronx?
Yes.
But besides that, I enrolled in the Albany in the fall of 2012. Throughout my time here, I've been very fortunate. I guess first with my fraternal organization, I Unified Day Fraternity Incorporated. From there, I was able to, I guess, find my comfort zone, find my confidence to pursue much more. From there, I was able to be the president of our council, the Divine Nine at the time. And then last year, I served as the Student Association president, so that was also a great position. Currently now, I'm the vice president on the UAS board of the Albany, and I serve on the University Council with our president, Dr. Sutter. And for SUNY, a lot of roles. I'm the chairman for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for SUNY SA, so all 4 campuses, 60,000 students. It's been great so far, a lot of challenges, but we'll discuss much more further.
Originally from Brooklyn, New York, attended Howard University. Started off in the field of industrial chemistry, did that for about 2 years after school. And I didn't make enough money. So I decided to pursue more things that make me happy, things that I could do for the rest of my life. And I moved back to New York, did the typical thing. You go to school, get a job. Then I decided to take more of an entrepreneurial approach.
I grew up in a small town called Spartanburg. We're the peach capital of the state, so grew up in a farming area. Went to the University of South Carolina, majored in political science. Left there, went to Cornell Law School, graduated, made it to the bar of the U.S. Supreme Court. I can practice anywhere, just about. My area of concentration is labor and employment law. I'm also a professor here at SUNY Albany. Formerly a professor at Sage College. I left there, started my own practice where I almost deal exclusively in arbitration and mediation, but I teach here. Some of you have had my classes. I teach history of the civil rights movement. I teach law in the black community, and now I teach for the Rockefeller College. I teach Black Lives Matter. So every day is different. Every day is a unique opportunity to help people, and I'm very grateful to be here. So thank you for having me.
I'm currently a senior at the University of Albany studying biology with a minor in educational studies. I'm currently the president of the Registrar Rho Sigma chapter of Alpha Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, as well as the current president of NPC Incorporated. I am as well the second vice president of NICOR. NICOR stands for the New York Association of College Chapters of Alpha. So I'm pretty much the liaison between the national organization and all of the chapters of Alpha in New York. So like Syracuse, Hofstra, in that sense. As well as the assistant district director, I deal with intake and the membership process of Alpha. On campus, I work at the Campus Center Connections Desk, and I work at the Student Organization Resource Center. We deal with student organizations planning events on or off campus or situating rooms. I'm also on the Campus Life Board here at the University of Albany. We help and kind of fund or decide where money goes to in terms of like your Campus Life fee. And I'm also an early admit to TFA for Teach for America. I actually just accepted my final offer, so I'll be teaching in the Bronx, New York, where I'm from. Nice. But yeah, it's been a great journey. I think my biggest thing is just getting out there and helping like others. And like as I'm a senior now, I look back and I want to be able to look back and say like I helped someone or helped a group of people to kind of get where they needed to be. So I guess that's what drives me, and that's kind of what's been my main goal throughout my college career.
A little town in Mississippi called Macomb, Mississippi. I went to college at Cornell University and got a degree in mechanical, aerospace, aeronautical engineering. Then I went and got a master's degree in physics and atmospheric chemistry, another master's degree in physical oceanography, and came to SUNY Albany to get my PhD in atmospheric chemistry and physics. I didn't teach any of you, but I probably taught some of your aunts and uncles and parents if they were here. Trust me, black don't crack. It's almost 30 years old. So I've been around a long time. Been around Greek life a long time. I was actually here when Pi Kappa was founded. I was initiated at the birthplace of all college Black Greek life, Cornell University, into Alpha Chapter there. And Tim, what year were you at Cornell?
82.
Okay, Tim and I were at Cornell at the same time, even though we didn't spend a whole lot of time together there. So, but just glad to be here and hope to be able to provide some insight. I spent some time as, we'll just say, I could tell you what I used to do, but then I have to kill you. I used to work for, we'll just say, a little agency in a little town in Virginia. If you've seen The Born Identity, you know what I'm talking about. I work for NASA, and for the last 24 years, I've been one of the budget directors for the state of New York, deciding how much money SUNY would get. So that's my career path, and we'll talk a little bit more about it as we go further into the program.
And we wanted to give each gentleman and gentleman in the audience a chance to express some of the trials, tribulations, like I discussed, in their careers and their professions. So our first question is addressed to the panel, and the question is, what does it mean to be a man of color in your field of work?
One of the reasons I came to SUNY Albany to get my PhD was because I was tired of being the first Black everything. There are two people in the country that have the same degree as I. Myself, a young man named Lonzie Lewis, who's in Atlanta, and a guy named Michael Johnson, who's at Seattle, Washington. As I was looking for graduate schools to go to, University of Washington was very high on my list. And as I went through the interviews, all they could remind me of is, oh, you'll be the first African American in our program. And then I went to the University of California, Santa Barbara. Oh, you'll be the first African American in our program. In Florida State, everywhere I went, I'd be the only one. And it just so happened that the department head here at that time was a guy named Harry Hamilton. And one of my sorors is shaking her head. He used to be the president of the local NAACP, a man of color, who headed the atmospheric science department here. And it was refreshing for me to be able to look and see someone who looked like me, who understood my experience and knew what I was going to be going through, to be able to spend that time in an environment where nobody looks like you. What is it like to be that in this field? It's the same as it is to be a Black man who's a carpenter, a Black man who's a teacher, a Black man in every field. Because you have two types of people. You have those that see you walk through the door and say, oh, I didn't notice that you were a Black man. That doesn't bother me. That's not something I see. Of course, they're lying to you. And they're discounting you because that is who I am. Those of you who don't even know me, if someone said, hey, he left his wallet, run out and give it to him. And someone says, well, how will I find it? What's the first thing you're gonna do? You're not gonna say the guy with the charming personality, because you can't pick that out in a crowd. You're not gonna say, oh, well, the guy with the short haircut, because there's a lot of them. You say, hey, the Black guy, the big heavy one. Because that's part of who my identity, what my identity is. And so when you're in any field of work, whether we wanna believe it or not, yeah, we got a Black president, you see what that gets us. It defines how people view you.
Of a seminar that I'm doing in the basement of this building, and I am a professor of African American literature here in the University at Albany English Department, and my sort of highest level of education is PhD in literary studies.
Then we have these younger guys here that are going to do something more extraordinary than what I'm even thinking of, what I haven't planned for my life. So I want to thank you guys for sharing this panel with me right here. About what it is to be a Black man in business. I think maybe I got spoiled a little bit by Howard University. I had a full track scholarship that allowed me to go to school, but when I got there, I was still East New York. I remember like my first week, I got into an altercation, and you're only in there for a week, so you kind of look at things from a different mindset. But that place really just took me in. Chances are everybody in this room, no one has ever given you anything, and they're not about to start today. So it's always going to be a slew of challenges that you have, and people are going to look at you some type of way, but you have to go back in to that beginning point of why you started this and who you started it with and why you're doing it. Like, so for me, in terms of property development, it's very limited African Americans in property development. You may have some brokers, but there's 8 landlords that essentially own all of the capital region. And that's how property development works. So that's something that I wanted to dive into. And like you said, Robert Smith, there's 1,696 billion, and only 7 of them are black. I'm gonna be the 8th. But at time, that's just
You may not get where you want to, having integrity, but you will always know that you have done the right thing, right? And I think at the end of the day, acting with integrity is what actually sort of translates into true success in any endeavor that we undertake. So I would say that real success has to do with the way in which you interact in any given situation. So long as you do that with integrity, that's successful.
I believe this is because I am 21 years of age. So I oftentimes would admit that I may be immature to a sense, and my maturity level has not fully developed yet, and I can accept that. So when I hear that question, I automatically think financial. So I want to be able to do anything without having to worry about the bill. And I say that because when I was younger, I feel like I grew up in a time when I feel like this is the truth. But my mother really struggled. I never went to public school. I always went to Catholic school. I had a scholarship, wasn't full, but I've watched her literally kind of make sure that she had that tuition money throughout the years. And in my definition, when you say success, it's to be able to pay her back and be able to make her stop working. So when I look at that, and boom, that's success to me. So as long as I can live my life and have my mother live a comfortable life, that's my success. But on the backside of that is I want to be able to make sure that my son or my daughter would be able to live life without going through the struggles that I had to go through. And then on the other side of that is those struggles made me who I am. So I think the true definition of success is being able to identify and establish a lifestyle where you and your immediate family around you, I think that you influence the most, will be able to live a comfortable life as well. Because you can't really strive unless the people around you are striving. So I think being able to establish a lifestyle in where everything is copacetic and it's almost on an equilibrium to the point where you can feel comfortable, not only you, but the people around you. So I think when you say success, that's what I aim to have when I grow up.
I'm going to be able to be the best version of me that I can possibly be today. Am I going to be that good person? I always come a little bit short, sometimes I don't even make it out the door before I'd have made a mistake. I thought the wrong thing, I've said the wrong thing, I didn't do this and I didn't do that. But I wake up every morning, first thing I do is I thank God for giving me another day. And then I set about trying to be the best person I can possibly be. That generally means helping somebody. It generally means slowing down enough to help somebody else, whether they need my assistance getting into school, or they need a ride someplace, or they just need a meal. I've taken people to get a meal. The other day I went on a walk and I took a trash bag and picked up trash. I don't know. That was my thing for the day, to try to be a good person. And so, you were young, I know you want to be like Jay-Z, y'all want to make all this money. But all that money didn't allow Steve Jobs to live another day when he had pancreatic cancer and he died in his early 50s. That money is not going to buy you another moment on this planet. And so while you're here to serve other people. And so that's successful for myself, is to be in service to other people.
I'm the smartest person I know. But I'm smart enough to understand that there are people that are smart about things that I know nothing about. I got drafted out of high school to play baseball. I had 81 Division I scholarships. I'm rolling into Cornell. I'm the man. I take my calculus exam. There's 25 questions. I got 24 of them correct. I had a 96 on a Cornell University freshman calculus exam. I am the man. I walk up, the grades are posted outside. I look, I said, 96, that's gotta be an A+. C-. The mean was 98.7 with a standard deviation of half a point. That was like 50 people in the class got 100. I'm like, what the hell? This can't be. I'm like, oh my God, Shrek, what's going on here? I got a 96 and I got a C-. I ain't never seen a C. But what I came to understand is that was a mathematical representation of somebody's determination of how good I was at a particular thing. But that didn't define me or my abilities or where I would go. Now, the flip side of that is, I got that C- with a 96. I had another class, thermodynamics. I got a 33 on the final. That was an A+. Because the guy sat next to me, we called him James Bond because he got 007 on the test. I'll tell you how traumatic it was. I'm in my 50s and I still remember the final exam. You have a room that's 10 by 10 by 10. Inside you have a block of ice that's 1 by 1 by 1. The temperature in the room is 70 degrees. There are no windows, no doors. How long will it take the block of ice to melt, and what will be the temperature in the room? Yeah. Yeah. Open book, open notes. Call anybody you want. My lab partner, his father was a physicist at NASA. He called him up and he said, how am I supposed to know? So you gotta understand failure and success. People will grade you. It's all relative. It's all relative. 33 was successful in thermodynamics. 96 was unsuccessful in calculus. If you get the opportunity to have tomorrow to fix it, the worst thing that can happen to me is that I leave this earth and no one's life has been changed or touched, and I won't be remembered. Did you leave a footprint on this little speck of dust that floats in space held on nothing? Will they remember you when you're gone? Will people get up at your funeral? Will they be able to tell the truth, or will they have to lie about you? You have to understand that you can't define failure or success until the game is over. Now, I hate the Patriots. My daughter's a Patriots fan.
That's right.
Hey, I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, Sue. I thought Atlanta had the game, but then I realized they thought they had won in the third quarter. They thought they had succeeded in winning the game, and they started playing that way. The Patriots never ever thought they had lost. The game ain't over till the fat lady sings, the clock strikes 0, or till they put dirt on top of your pie box. That's the way I look.
I think the biggest thing about failures is that everything that I do, and even if I do fail, I figure out a way to kind of level it back out with success. So I think like throughout our days, we definitely do fail, and it's pretty much how you determine it and how you kind of define it. But like that's my definition of it. It's like I fail during the day, but I also succeed. And I think what matters the most is when you take a step back, even look at your day, your week, your month, your year, and think look back, like have you succeeded more than you failed? And I think that's the biggest thing that we should try to remember as we go through our careers.
Where I'm from, failure is not an option. You either do or you don't do, and it is not part of your vocabulary. So, just like Lou said, as long as you're breathing, as a matter of fact, my state motto in South Carolina is, while I breathe, I hope. That's our state motto. So as long as you're alive, failure is not an option. And so that's a great question, but I never considered it.
Man in the Deep South who owned a store And in his store, he needed ice. Black guy. And for years, he bought his ice from the black ice distributor. But then they desegregated. And he was now able to do business with people who weren't necessarily African American. So the ice distributor came in and said, hey man, I'm here to deliver your ice. He said, no, I don't need your ice now. He said, why not? Well, I get my ice from the other side of town now. He said, really? Is the guy giving you a better price? No. Does he bring it any faster than I do? No. He said, well, why would you buy ice from someone that's not part of our community? The guy's response was, the white man's ice is colder. How do you think about that?
At Howard University, we owned the property around the institution. By the time I left, we couldn't even afford a 1-bedroom. So what inspired my move to the capital region was, like you said, the game. I saw this game be played in front of me, but I couldn't notice it. Then when I got back to Brooklyn, I'm like, what the hell is this place? It was no longer the same Brooklyn I grew up in. So then when I came to the capital region, it was essentially with a roadmap of how to play a game. And I recognize that right now I'm not in that position, but like you said, growing to the point where you are, you can make that. So just appreciate you sharing that with me.
Going to have some success. It's going to be because a lot of people contribute along the way. Some of which you might forget about, or you might not even know what they did. I don't think it's possible for any. I'm sure that, and I don't even know most of these wonderful men. I'm sure that they couldn't have developed to the level that they've developed without a series of women of color supporting them. When I was 21, and some years went by, and I guess I was maybe 26. I guess I was 26 or 27. And my grandfather at that time was, I think he might have been 96, 97, something like that. And he said to me, son, I'm so proud of you. You turned out to be everything I hoped. I've had a lot of good things happen in my life. Nothing counted like that. You know, having people invest into you. So what I would suggest for you to do is to try to be the very best that you can be now. Hope that people invest in you, take that and make it the best you can so that you can invest in other people. You gotta lift while you climb. Which is what brothers are talking about here, about being, if you don't do that, this system about helping your community just won't work. You know, one of the questions you raised was, what have you overcome as a man of color in this system? None of us have. No one has transcended being a black man in America. Nobody has. That has not occurred. It didn't occur with Barack Obama. It didn't occur with any of us. No. Don't get all excited about what you see up here. The very same institutional racism that existed 50 years ago, 100 years ago, is just as alive and well today as it was then. And we're still in a similar situation if we don't realize that you gotta live while you climb, which is what brother's talking about.
It's truly an art.
Yes, Lord.
It really is. You have to be very skillful. You gotta know your man. The psyche of a man of color in this society is very different than any other man. And you have to know who that man is. You have to know how to talk to him, how to relate to him, and it's in the reverse. He has to know how to relate to us as well. Now, we deal with our white sisters, and I have nothing negative to say about them, but they see the world very differently. And their relationships with their men is very different. But as sisters, loving a black man is an art form. You really, really have to know and appreciate the struggles he's going through. And he, in turn, has to know and appreciate your struggles. You have to walk in lockstep, but it's a very different kind of dance. It truly is. And it can be a beautiful one. But they really need us. They really need us. They really do. So learn who that person, learn the love language, learn the psychosis, learn all of the OSIS, whatever it might be, because it can be a beautiful experience. But our men they really need us. And everybody talked about their mothers, but wives and girlfriends play a very key role as well.
Yeah.
Right now, they don't know the answers. But Nettie knows the answers. She knows the answers. I would, if you really want to know, find some positive older black women who understand it and ask them. Try to download as much information about that and anything else that they possibly have that I can guarantee you that you don't have, because you just started living. And there's going to be a lot of life that you're going to have to cover to understand the world the way she does. Now, she's seen this over and over, and she understands what the history is. You know, and she'll tell you, this is what you want to think about. It's up to you, but these are some things to think about if you want to have success, so you can go on out there and do it your way, and you might have success. It's very important to understand that find yourself some older people that can pour into you their knowledge. Trust me, young people all think that they invented the world.
We did when we were that age.
And that's when, you know what, but that is no excuse. Every time you think you invented the world and believe that you're gonna have the answers, you're gonna miss a repository of history and experience that would make you so much richer, so much faster.
In the LC. And if it was a Greek organization or multicultural or community service organization, they would always pack it out. And I think the biggest part of those programs were the feedback and the engagement amongst like the students that were literally sitting down and participating in the program. So I just want to challenge, and I said this like anytime I have a program, to the men, not only to the men in this room, but to the women in here as well, to really engage in a program. Because like you guys have a lot, and of course this is a panel type program, so you really are here to kind of listen to what we say, but engage, but more so listen. But I want to say, like, you have to really engage into the topic, the questions that are being asked by the organization that's running the program. Because if not, like, then there's no program. Like, we're here, we're giving you a set of questions to start a discussion. Because we already know how we feel. You know what I'm saying? You guys are the ones that put the questions together. So they already know what the game plan is. And this goes back to what we were saying here. In order to access that information, you kind of have to give to get. So whenever you're at a program, it could be this one. If you go to a program tomorrow, if you're organizing a week, really when you sit down, don't just sit down and kind of just be there. Don't take up space. Really engage and let the people know, like, this is my mindset. This is how I feel about what you're saying. How can we come to a discussion where we can kind of lay out everything and kind of have that discussion? So I want to challenge you guys to think about that, and the next time you go to a program, don't just sit down, actually really engage and kind of get in tune with what's going on. But just on like a total grand scale.
To-do list in front of you at all times. They need to be everything, because you cannot carry those thoughts in your head and be successful. You have to get your thoughts out of your head and onto a piece of paper or whatever you use on a daily basis. Have that in front of you at all times. Make sure that you're checking off everything that's on your to-do list. Some things you can complete, some things are in progress. Do those things. The next thing you want to do is make sure you always are reading something. Make sure that I go to court, and I will tell you, I can look out in a courtroom packed like this, and I can see individuals waiting for their cases to be heard, staring into space. And I always ask myself, I wonder why they didn't bring something to read. You can't bring your cell phone into a courtroom. If you know you're going to be somewhere, whether it's on a subway, whether it's on a bus, whether it's in a waiting room, whether it's waiting for your professor to get to class, no matter where you are, you should always be involved in reading something. And I don't mean Twitter. I mean a piece of literature, a scholarly publication, something that requires that you focus on what we call the long form of writing. That's what we used to say at Cornell as well. I may not be the smartest, but I work the hardest.
That's right.
And let me tell you something, hard work, Dr. Slade said it last week, what did he say? Hard work and prayer overcomes a lot of shortcomings in life. That's my ultimate guide to success and achievement.
Because I wanted you to hear this story. Sister Nettie knows exactly what I'm talking about right now because she's lived it. And all I can say is that the love that goes on in these households is unique and requires a special kind of dance. That book Steve Harvey wrote, throw it in the trash can. I'm telling you now. Look, he told y'all some things, but he didn't tell y'all the whole truth. I've been married 28 years, 3 months, 1 day, 6 hours, 32 minutes, and 11 seconds. The reason I can tell you that is because I got married easy. I got married on the last day of the year, so whatever day it is, I can always calculate. My wife and I went to kindergarten together.
Wow.
My wife used to chase me in hide and go seek. Now I went off and went to New York and did great things and got famous. But when I came home, I realized one thing when I was making a choice that I needed on my team, on Team Louis, because y'all know I'm the man, right? I needed the #1 cheerleader. Now my daughter's sitting over there and she can tell you that everything I'm about to say is true. If you walked up and asked my wife, said, hey, I got a nuclear submarine down in the Hudson River and it's broke down. My wife will say, what, Vanda? Ask my husband, I think he can fix it. Now, I may not know nothing about a nuclear submarine. She know because we went to church together. I don't know nothing about a nuclear submarine, but my wife believes I can fix it. I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna try it because she's #1 on Team Louis. She is my #1 cheerleader. I never have to guess when I walk into my house whose side she's on. Now y'all, don't Google this. I got arrested one time. My wife didn't ask me, what did you do? My wife said to the police, what, y'all messing with my husband? Do you understand what I'm saying? And so you have to be that #1 cheerleader, and he has to know it because he will reciprocate that to you. The other thing is, after we come back from fighting every day, all of those other 5 questions that we had to deal with, dealing with counterparts and racism and institutional roadblocks and all those other things, when we walk in the door, y'all ain't gonna want to hear this, but this is God's honest truth. We don't want to be met at the door with a whole bunch of questions and a whole bunch of drama. Now, I'm telling you the truth. Now, I sit on the couch, I turn on the TV, I ain't even paying attention to it. Give myself a few minutes to decompress. She walks over to me, and me and Rachel, we cool. She'll lean next to me and lean over, and she'll caress my head. She ain't gonna say a word. And then after a few minutes, we ready to have that conversation. She's gonna tell me about what was going on in her day, and I am now ready to listen. But had that started at the door, and you know I'm telling the truth, right?
But she knows your love language.
She love my love language. And so you got to know him